It's tender, doughy, and it's the ideal vessel for scooping up Indian food. We wanted to make it at home and didn't want to have to rely on any fancy tools or equipment. Instead of a tandoor oven, we're using a cast iron skillet. But plan ahead, you will need about a day and a half to make this recipe. But don't worry, like most breads, most of that is hands-off time. In a measuring cup or small bowl, combine a half a cup of ice water, a third of a cup of plain whole milk yogurt, 3 tablespoons of vegetable oil, and 1 egg yolk. The fat from the yolk keeps the naan moist. We're going to make the dough in a food processor, which makes it really easy. And you want to be sure you're using ice cold water, since the friction from the blade can cause the dough to heat up. Also, don't use non-fat yogurt in this recipe. The fat makes the dough tender and pillowy. In the food processor, combine 2 cups, which is 10 ounces of all-purpose flour, 1 1/4 teaspoon sugar, and a half a teaspoon of instant yeast. Process this for just a few seconds to combine it, and then with the processor running, slowly add the water mixture through the tube. Process this mixture for about 10 seconds. The dough will be just combined and there shouldn't be any dry flour in the bowl. Now let the dough rest for 10 minutes. Add 1 1/4 teaspoon salt to the dough and process for 30 to 60 seconds until the dough forms a satiny, sticky ball that doesn't stick to the sides of the bowl. Now transfer the dough to a lightly floured work surface. Knead with your hands for about 1 minute until it's nice and smooth and elasticy. Shape the dough into a tight ball using the sides of your hands to gently shape it, and then place the dough in a large, lightly oiled bowl. Cover the bowl tightly with plastic wrap and refrigerate the dough for 16 to 24 hours. Here we're using the technique of cold fermentation, which encourages the relaxation of the gluten strands so that the dough is more flexible and easier to work with. The dough won't double in size, so don't worry, it just needs this time to develop flavor and relax so it'll be easier to work with. When you're ready to make the naan, heat the oven to 200 degrees and place an oven-safe plate on the middle rack. Transfer the dough to a lightly floured surface and divide it into 4 equal pieces. Shape each piece into a smooth, tight ball and place the dough balls on a lightly oiled baking sheet at least 2 inches apart. Now cover the sheet loosely with greased plastic wrap and let the dough stand for 15 to 20 minutes. Transfer one of the dough balls to a lightly floured board or counter and sprinkle with flour. Using your hands and a rolling pin, press and roll the dough into a 9-inch circle. You might need to sprinkle more flour on the dough and the board as you work. The dough should be evenly thick all the way around. Now using a fork, poke the entire surface of the dough 20 to 25 times. The poking here prevents the dough from puffing up too much when it hits the skillet. Heat the remaining 1 teaspoon of vegetable oil in a 12-inch cast iron skillet over medium heat until the oil is shimmering. Now we're using a cast iron skillet here because we like the way it retains heat. Now using paper towels, wipe the oil out of the skillet completely. Mist the top of the dough lightly with water, and this misting simply helps moisten the bench flour that coated the rolled dough. Place the dough, moistened side down, in the prepared skillet, mist the top surface of the dough with water, and cover the skillet. Cook the dough for 2 to 4 minutes until the bottom is browned in spots. And then flip the naan, cover the pan, and continue to cook on the second side for 2 to 3 minutes until it's lightly browned on the bottom. And if the naan puffs up, just gently poke it with a fork to deflate it. Flip the naan in the skillet and brush the top with about 1 teaspoon of melted butter. Transfer it to the plate in the oven and cover the plate tightly with aluminum foil. Repeat rolling and cooking the remaining 3 dough balls. Adjust the heat on the stove as necessary just to ensure that the naan doesn't burn. Once the last naan is baked, serve it immediately. That's how easy it is to make naan at home. Serve with your favorite saucy, Indian-inspired dishes.